I've been very pro emulation for a long time. I mean, if you followed my channel for any amount of time, you would know this. I've done a lot of emulation videos and stuff like that. But for me personally, it comes down to a choice. It comes down to what I feel is right. And I don't really care what other people think in regards to that. But for me to emulate, it has to be something that access is limited to. It's got to be like retro games. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff that existed a while back and is no longer sold for that system. Access is limited. The only way to play it's getting, the old system and buy stuff from the secondary market type of thing. Then at that point, I don't really care. I'm going to emulate it. And then sometimes some companies will sell their games, in compilations and stuff like that. And I'm all for that as long as it's done right. But yeah, for me, it's got to be retro games. If it's current generation stuff, I'm not going to do it. I just don't. I won't emulate Nintendo Switch games. I won't, I've had plenty of people as well, like, hey, why don't you hack your Nintendo Switch? You can do homebrew, this. I want the Switch in its stock form during its lifespan. Like, the way Nintendo, intended it to be, that's what I want it to be. And I know, these companies, Nintendo, every third party that sells games, they're companies. They don't really care about you. They care about making money. But at the same time, it's a form of entertainment. And for me, when it's a current generation console, I don't want to compromise my system in a way where it's like, okay, I hacked it. I could play pirated games. I don't have to play pirated games or emulate on an emulator for a current console. I don't want to do that because I feel like if there isn't a certain level of support buying games, then games just won't exist. You know what I mean? If everybody just downloaded, Mario Odyssey instead of, anybody buying it, if the majority of people downloaded it and the sales were poor, then what would the future of Mario be? What would the future of Zelda be type of thing? So my personal choice is, no, I'm not going to do it during its current lifespan. If it comes a time, and it will come a time, when the Switch is no longer supported, the lifespan, everything is over, yeah, I'll hack it. I'll emulate, whatever, I'm not against it. I'm just against it during a console's current lifespan for, some of those reasons. For me, I want to support some of these companies, and I know some people are, being a consumer is, I get tired of seeing the comments about, anti-consumer stuff. Everybody consumes something, be it entertainment, be it nonsense that you don't really need. I mean, you go buy your food. You could be growing stuff in your backyard and eating that way. You could be self-sustained off the grid. Everybody's a consumer. Everybody, pays money to be entertained in some form or another. But I do see a lot of people who do say things like that. Like, oh, why buy this? Why buy that? Hey, that's my choice, man. I want to see some of these games continue on. And that's just the way I feel about it. And I did see this news story pop up just the other day about Denuvo, the pretty much like DRM. It's been on PCs for almost 10 years now. I think the first game that launched with it was FIFA 2013 or something like that. And that really caused some issues for people. Having Denuvo being like an anti-piracy type thing, having online checks and different implementations, there's been times where people have tried to play certain PC games and they couldn't because the Denuvo servers were down, whatever, that kind of thing. There's a whole list of games that use Denuvo. And I'm not the biggest PC gamer in the world, but seeing this being brought to consoles is a little strange. But, what's the point, right? I noticed this. 2 Point Campus, very recent release, Denuvo was removed. It's a Sega game, right? So I guess some games are getting the DRM removed. Why? Is it people complaining about it, or is it causing issues? I've seen some companies in the past, I think with Tekken 7 or something like that, the developer claimed that Denuvo was causing performance issues, and I've seen other people claim as well that it causes performance issues with the games, eating up resources and whatnot. Now they're launching this for the Nintendo Switch to protect against emulation. Do we blame the pirates, or was was the writing on the wall already, just because there's an emulator for the Switch, people, dumping the games and emulating them day one. Even some people, and I don't get this, advertising that they're emulating a Nintendo Switch game before it even comes out. Keep that shit private, dude. Like, it's just like, why do you advertise such things? Don't put that out there. I'm not against people trying to, crack the platform and figuring out emulation, as over time, it will help once the system is out of its lifespan. You can no longer get access to certain games, like, getting a head start on emulating. But for it to be so public and everybody having access to it, so many people I've seen bragging about how they're emulating Switch games instead of buying it. And it's like, that's fine, man. Do you? I'll do me. I'm very pro emulation, but just not with the Switch. Not going to hack the system, not going to emulate it. And now with this Denuvo coming to the Switch to protect against emulation, this could cause issues for everyone. Not just the people trying to emulate it, like the people who buy their games. You know what I mean? If they have any of those online checks and whatnot, that could cause issues. They're saying that, it's not going to affect gameplay at all. It's not going to affect the experience. We don't know exactly how the implementation is going to be on this, but let's take a quick look at this. Denuvo, the global leader in providing security solutions for video games, desktop, console, and mobile, is pleased to unveil tech to protect games launching on the Switch from piracy. The announcement comes as the game industry is gathered for this year's Gamescom. Nintendo consoles have long suffered from piracy issues, and the Switch is no different. Even if and that is true. Like, there's always been piracy to a degree with current consoles, and Nintendo's just the same. But they haven't really had too much of an issue. They haven't like gone under because of piracy or anything. But is this getting out of hand? I don't know. I do see quite a few people brag that they emulate Switch, but I don't see it like crazily so. Like, I don't nonstop see it, but I do see enough of it. So by preventing piracy on Switch while blocking unauthorized emulation on PC, studios are able to increase their revenue. That's the biggest thing. Companies want to make that money regardless how you feel about it, They're businesses. That's what they do. They make money. They employ people. It's how some people make a living, by working for these companies, right? So as with all Denuvo solutions, the technology integrates seamlessly into the build toolchain with no impact on the gaming experience. There's a lot of people who would beg to differ on that, who would argue that point. It then allows for the insertion of checks into the code, which blocks gameplay on emulators. So I'm thinking that this also, if you're just trying to run like dumped games on the Switch, this could possibly have an impact on that as well. We at Denuvo understand that piracy negatively affects the industry, and we are working with the industry parties to ensure they have the latest protection technologies available to them. Our team is excited to provide a solution that helps developers and publishers fight the issue of Nintendo Switch piracy. Like, it's getting a little late in the Nintendo Switch lifespan. But now they're doing it. So we're going to start seeing games that implement this probably fairly soon, I would imagine. And who knows how this is going to impact everyone. Not just the hackers, the pirates, the emulators, but the, people who buy Nintendo Switches and games. We'll have to wait and see. The most popular groups have more than 1 million followers each. Recent research... Wait, it's easy to find online forums dedicated to emulation and piracy. The most popular groups have more than 1 million followers each. Recent research conducted found that 84% of game developers are continuously concerned about tampering and piracy. The study also found that 93% of those using anti-cheat and anti-tamper solutions are satisfied with the protection and value. Okay. So that's pretty much where it's at. Like I said, I'm pro emulation, but for the time being, I won't emulate the Switch at all. That's my personal choice. And I already know this video may have some mixed emotions from people, but hey, I'm just being honest. I don't care what you do. I just, those are what my thoughts are concerning Nintendo Switch piracy and hacking. If everybody did it, which not everybody would, but if everybody did it, then the system would be a failure. Games wouldn't be developed. They wouldn't be accessible for download in the future to be emulated or played on a hacked system. So I get the desire for companies to want to implement this, but it's always very frowned upon by a lot of people. This Denuvo and whatnot, these DRM issues, and I think is it the community of people pirating these games that brought this forth? Is Nintendo really losing a lot of money? Because sometimes at points like I personally won't do it, and I've said it a million times already for the Nintendo Switch. But then at the same time, I have to wonder, like I said, I don't care what other people do, but the people who do download like a Nintendo Switch game and emulate it, were they a customer? Were they a potential customer anyway? Would have they bought the game anyway? If there was no solution for them to play it for free, would have the thought crossed their mind? Maybe some of them, but I think a lot of them just would be like, no, find something else to play type of thing. That's where it's at. Let me know what you guys think. Is this going to be a big negative impact for Switch owners across the world? Maybe. If it's got those online checks and like you got spotty internet, or you're jumping in the car, you don't have a hot spot or something, you can't play the damn game when it's not even an online game, that's going to be a problem. We'll have to wait and see how this is implemented. Thanks for watching. Bye.